Most people struggle with money not because they are lazy or incapable, but because they were taught the wrong definition of success. From an early age, the message is simple: earn more, and your problems will disappear. So people chase promotions, overtime, side hustles, and second jobs, believing that income is the finish line. But income is not wealth. It is effort converted into money. And the moment effort stops, income stops too. This is where confusion begins. Income feels powerful because it arrives regularly. It creates the illusion of stability. Every month it shows up, pays the bills, and disappears just as quickly. People grow emotionally attached to it, protecting it, fearing its loss, and building their entire identity around it. But income is temporary by nature. It is rented, not owned. Wealth, on the other hand, is built, accumulated, and sustained over time. True wealth is what remains when you stop working. It is what continues to grow quietly while you sleep, while you rest, while you focus on something more meaningful than survival. And this misunderstanding, mixing income with wealth, keeps people running faster on a treadmill that never moves forward. Assets are what shift that equation. Assets represent stored effort. They are proof that yesterday's work can still serve you today. When you acquire an asset, you are not just buying something, you are buying time, leverage, and future possibility. That is why assets make you rich. They increase your net worth. They expand your financial foundation. They give you something solid to stand on. But here is where another deeper lesson emerges, one that many only discover after they have accumulated assets but still feel trapped. Not all assets change your daily life. Some assets look impressive but demand constant attention. Some increase your value on paper while decreasing your freedom in practice. This is where the difference between being rich and being free becomes painfully clear. Cash flow is the missing link. Cash flow is the bridge between ownership and liberation. It is the money that moves toward you without asking for your presence. It is what turns assets from trophies into tools. Without cash flow, an asset can feel like a responsibility. With cash flow, it becomes a partner. Consider how many people own valuable things yet live under pressure. They have properties but struggle to pay monthly expenses. They own businesses that consume every hour of their day. They have investments that grow but do not support their lifestyle. On the outside, they appear successful. On the inside, they are exhausted. Cash flow changes the emotional relationship with money. When consistent income arrives without constant effort, fear begins to loosen its grip. Decisions are no longer made in panic. Life is no longer negotiated with anxiety. Instead of asking, the question becomes, is this aligned with the life I want? This is why cash flow sets you free. Freedom is not excess, it is independence. It is knowing that your basic needs are met whether you show up or not. It is waking up without the weight of urgency pressing against your chest. It is choosing work because it matters, not because missing a day feels dangerous. Assets may build your financial stature, but cash flow builds your confidence. It creates breathing room. It gives you the courage to think long-term, to invest patiently, and to walk away from situations that compromise your values. It turns money from a master into a servant. When you understand this distinction, everything changes. You stop chasing money and start designing a system. You stop asking how much you can earn this month and start asking how you can build something that will support you for years. The focus shifts from survival to structure, from effort to efficiency, from income to impact. And once that shift happens, your relationship with work, time, and life itself begins to transform. Most people believe hard work is the ultimate solution to financial struggle, and for a season of life, that belief is not wrong. Hard work builds character. It creates momentum. It teaches discipline. But hard work alone was never meant to be permanent. There comes a moment when effort must evolve into structure, otherwise exhaustion becomes the reward for loyalty. Working for money is a phase of life, not a destination. In the early years, trading time for income makes sense. You learn skills, understand value, and develop responsibility. But staying in that phase forever is like insisting on carrying water by hand when pipes already exist. It's noble, but unnecessary and eventually painful. Systems are what replace struggle with sustainability. A system is simply effort organized to repeat itself without demanding your constant presence. When you build a system, you are no longer paid only for what you do today, but for what you designed yesterday. That is the quiet power behind lasting wealth. Many people never make this shift because systems require patience before they reward you. When you work a job, you are paid quickly. When you build a system, the payment is delayed, and most people give up in the delay, mistaking silence for failure. They don't realize that the most powerful structures in life grow underground before they ever show themselves. A business that runs without constant supervision, an investment that produces income year after year, a process that delivers value repeatedly. These are not accidents, they are intentional creations. And once built, they do not ask for your energy every morning, they simply perform. This is where the idea of permanence comes into play. Effort ends, systems endure. A paycheck depends on your attendance. A system depends on your intelligence. One drains you daily, the other rewards you quietly. And the moment you understand this, work stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a design challenge. Freedom begins when money continues to move even when you pause. That is not laziness, it is leverage. It is the highest form of responsibility because you are no longer dependent on a single outcome, a single employer, or a single moment of effort. You have created momentum that carries you forward. When money works without you, fear loosens its grip. You stop measuring your worth by productivity alone. You stop feeling guilty for rest. You stop panicking over every unexpected expense because life is no longer fragile, it is supported. This is the moment when choice enters the conversation. You are no longer forced to work. You are invited to contribute. You can choose projects that align with your values. You can invest time where it matters most. You can walk away from situations that drain your spirit because survival no longer depends on tolerance. Money working without you does not remove purpose, it refines it. It gives you the freedom to focus on growth instead of maintenance, on creativity instead of urgency, on legacy instead of survival. It shifts your energy from earning to building, from reacting to directing. And perhaps the most powerful transformation is internal. When you are no longer chasing every dollar, your mind becomes clear, your decisions become calmer, your vision becomes longer. You begin to think in years instead of weeks, and impact instead of income. This is where people begin to feel what freedom truly means. Not excess, not luxury, but control over their own time, control over their choices, control over the direction of their life. And once you experience that level of control, the idea of returning to constant dependency feels unbearable. So the focus shifts again from asking how much effort is required today to asking what structure can be built that will still be serving you tomorrow. From asking how hard you can work to asking how intelligently you can design a life that no longer demands your exhaustion just to function. And that shift changes everything. The truth about wealth is that it is rarely created in dramatic moments. It is not built in one big decision or one lucky break. Wealth is usually the quiet result of small disciplines practiced long before anyone is watching. And this is where most people lose the game, not because they lack opportunity, but because they underestimate the power of consistency. Small disciplines with money may not feel heroic. Setting aside a portion of income before spending it, choosing investments that grow steadily instead of chasing excitement, delaying gratification when the world tells you to enjoy now and worry later. These actions don't bring applause. They don't make headlines, but they create something far more valuable than attention. They create momentum. Every financial habit is a vote for the future you are becoming. When you spend everything you earn, you vote for pressure. When you save and invest intentionally, you vote for peace. The difference may feel insignificant today, but time has a way of magnifying every decision. What seems small now becomes massive later, either as freedom or regret. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect. It is the ability to tell yourself the truth about where you are and still act in alignment with where you want to go. And the most powerful part is this: once discipline becomes identity, it no longer feels difficult. It feels natural. You stop forcing good decisions and start becoming the kind of person who makes them automatically. This is how long-term power is built, not through intensity, but through integrity. Not through motivation, but through method. The people who win financially are rarely the most aggressive. They are the most patient. They understand that money, like life, rewards those who show up consistently and think beyond the moment. And eventually, something profound happens. The focus shifts away from accumulation, because true wealth is not measured by what you own, but by how you live. It is not the size of your portfolio that defines success, but the quality of your days. Wealth is waking up without dread. It is having time for the people you love. It is choosing health over hustle and purpose over pressure. At some point, possessions stop impressing you. Status loses its grip. What matters instead is freedom, the freedom to slow down, to say no, to redirect your life when your heart asks for change. That is the wealth few talk about, yet everyone secretly wants. Money is meant to serve life, not replace it. When wealth becomes the goal, life shrinks. But when life becomes the goal, wealth finds its proper place as a tool, not a trophy, as support, not identity. And when money finally sits in that role, it stops controlling you and starts empowering you. This is where fulfillment lives, not in excess, but in alignment, not in ownership, but in choice, not in chasing more, but in living better. So remember this as you move forward: build assets with patience, but pursue cash flow with purpose. Practice small disciplines daily because they compound into extraordinary freedom. Design your finances to support your life, not consume it. And never forget that the highest form of wealth is not what you can buy, but the life you are finally able to live on your own terms. That is success. That is freedom. And that is the kind of wealth that lasts.